Dear friends, hello and welcome today to the SOFINS exhibition, the Special Forces exhibition, where we will look at all the new developments the Ministry of the Armed Forces has for Special Forces. But we'll start right away outside with the NH90. We're here with the Army and Commander Mark, who is a helicopter pilot for the Special Forces.
Exactly, that's right.
What new features does the NH90 have?
So the main differences between the Special Forces version of the NH90 and the conventional NH90 are, first of all, its optronic turret. The aircraft will be equipped with a Renfier 410 sensor, a latest generation sensor that will provide you with observation capabilities that are far superior to what we currently have on our aircraft. And on top of that, there are new channels, so you have new spectral bands that are explored with this sensor, and also the ability to provide target designation for fire support.
So, soil, moisture and more to see through clouds and obstacles.
Exactly, you have everything on it, including a provision, but we'll see that on the model next to it. For the wide-field camera, which is a camera that ultimately allows you to have a set of sensors that reconstruct the scene for you. A 200-degree view with a 90-degree field of view. The pilot and crew chief can look around using their helmets and will basically fly with thermal imaging.
They have a helmet with built-in vision, so they turn their heads. That means they can actually see through it.
Flying it completely. So, a major difference between the Special Forces NH90 and the conventional one is the weapons mounted in the rear windows. That was a very strong request from us. We must ensure the aircraft's self-protection during critical phases. Approach, landing, takeoff, both sides of the aircraft simultaneously, while still being able to embark and disembark commandos. The current NH90 EBA, with a weapon mounted at the door, you must choose which side to place it and which side the commandos embark and disembark on. That's how it works for commandos.
That means we also disembarked more slowly if we only used half the door.
So here it's much more agile, in the end. On the NHFS, its nose, which is indeed a bit prominent, is what allows it to house the radar, which was further back on the NH90. That's normal. Why? They added a ball with sensors underneath, so it had to be moved further forward.
Externally, the helicopter is identical to standard versions.
Yes, we're identical, including optional features from the standard setup that will also benefit the Special Forces. For example, here we have a mount for additional fuel tanks, which will allow the NH90 to go further. That's also why, for now, we haven't chosen to install an aerial refueling probe, because the aircraft's natural range, with the additional options, lets it go far enough.
If you want, we can board the aircraft.
The carrying capacity of the NH90...
The usual operational load is about a dozen guys when they're fully equipped. In war, exactly. So here you have the self-protection armament section. So today we have two MAX 58S that are loaded onto the aircraft. But we also have the option to load the M3M, which can be installed at the door, or the M134 as well. So that will allow you to diversify the effects you want to achieve with either self-protection or support phase, or a bit heavier self-protection. With the M134, it's quite versatile. A major difference on the NH is also the bay. So here the one you have is a prototype. It's what we call the Kimura bay. This bay is one that can carry any type of radio set. Today, that's a major problem on aircraft. Generally speaking, when you integrate a radio set, there are integration issues that are often very costly and take a lot of time. With this box, with this cabinet, you'll be able to rack or unrack any radio set. It will take 5 minutes and will allow you to keep up with technological developments. Commandos that we support in combat don't have integration constraints, so very often they change their radio set every maybe 4 or 5 years, and it happens very, very quickly. So we'll have this possibility with the Kimura bay. Another major feature of the bay is that we'll have the capability, it's work that's ongoing. Commanding and supervising drones today is something that's very important for LAT aircraft. Being able to take control of drones that will be ahead, beyond the helicopter's horizon, that will gather intelligence and then direct fire.
All right, so that's something we had also seen on the Tiger, so now it's also on the NH90. It was a wish for the future Tiger.
Exactly, it's a wish for the future Tiger, but here it will happen concretely with this bay on board. This is an excellent capability.
And this version, it's operational.
So this is the prototype of the
NH90.
Exactly, so it's not an operational version. The first versions will be delivered to the unit in June, well, summer 2026. So logically, I think around September, roughly, to the 4th RHFS.
It's a retrofit of old NH.
So this one is a retrofit of an old NH, but the others that will be delivered, those are really new NH. On the NH90, it's that you have the rear section, actually, so that's something that really sets it apart from the helicopters we currently use, the Cougar and the Caracal. It's that, in the end, your rear section will allow you to deploy. Potentially 2 ATVs with 2 crews, 2 snowmobiles with 2 crews. And that's very interesting for all high-mobility concepts. You will insert commandos very quickly, deep behind enemy lines, who will carry out their operation, infiltrate, conduct their mission, and then you will extract them very quickly with your NH. When you bring them back, it's simple. The pilot sits here and the aircraft commander sits here. That's our setup in the Army. And then, here in the middle, you have the seat for the flight engineer. To be able to take control of the Eurofire 410, which is the sensor in front, you have 2 options. Either the flight engineer will take control using this control that's installed here, or the aircraft commander can also take control using the same control that's installed to his right. And so from there, they will be able to operate the camera during the mission. Our crews are trained, but like all crews in the Army, they are trained to fly using night vision goggles and to use their camera to fly even lower.
You work in tandem with the DGA?
That's exactly right. It's kind of the success story, I would say, of the NH90 FS. We work as a team with the DGA, with the STAT, and also with the industry. Here, you will also have in the cockpit the interface that will allow you to control and supervise the drones, which will be directly connected to an Ethernet network installed in the aircraft.
Along with the integration of the FIR ball, we also have a new handle that allows you to control the ball, both its video functions and its laser functions. And you can see that this handle exists in 2 copies, one for the aircraft commander and one for the 3rd crew member. So it's really these 2 people who will share the operation and the mission.
Thank you. MFP subtitles. You know there are submarines in the Navy, you know there are plenty of them. Al Fusco. He is developing a submersible for us. It's called the motorized submersible board, which means you have the commando attached to the back. It can stay on the surface, but it also has the ability to go underwater. It also allows you to breathe without having to carry tanks on your back. Everything will be done by dead reckoning. That's generally how it's done. It also allows them, once they've reached their destination, to sink this equipment so they can retrieve it a little later. If they don't have the possibility to hide it on the coast, and that way they're extremely discreet, those are the propulsion methods. And you might ask, but how do they find their way? Well, they find their way using what they call dead reckoning navigation. If they're just a little below the surface, they'll count the seconds. And they'll follow headings, they'll know the distances, and then they'll be able to navigate even in river areas. You're in operation, you're driving, and your field of vision is obviously reduced. Well, this is going to help you. Peripheral, they make glasses with visual indicators that tell you where to look. Maybe you need to look up. So obviously it's the sensors that are all around the vehicle or all around your group. See, for example, on Rafale fighter jet helmets, they had indicators just for pilots, designed for very complex systems. This lets all users with simple glasses get cognitive cues to turn their heads in the right direction. Even FPV drone pilots could also have this little indicator. Because with a connection between the different sensors, you have the ability to know that once we've dealt with the first target, the second one is behind friendly forces. Let me introduce Haru. It was developed by the people from Toulouse at New Robotics. It's supposed to be able to move in all directions, it can roll, it can stretch out, it can walk. Then, depending on the situation, if you go into a narrow duct, if you need to go upstairs, it can adapt. Then of course you have sensors that you can see here, on the other side, over there, you can recognize a LiDAR, you can add sensors, if there's chemical warfare, you can check everything with this. It goes everywhere, it's super fast. You know, there's a big issue with paratroopers in general. When they jump, sometimes there are injuries when they land, but it's even worse when you have to jump with night vision goggles. At night, when it's completely dark, you can't perceive the ground well. To be able to give them good information about altitude, there's the company Bordelais Electronique that invented a LiDAR, and this one is acoustic. For those who do gliding, you know, when you go up and down, it goes beep, beep, beep. It made a sound that gives information about the ground, and as you get closer, the sound becomes more continuous. This allows the parachute pilot to determine when to flare so they don't get injured anymore. We now use virtual reality for training and augmented reality too. 3 companies worked with the first RPMA. To be able to put themselves in immersive environments, it allows them to recreate, for example, an environment they will encounter, like an embassy where they will have to go and rescue hostages, or simply to train for reflex shooting, but it's not about precision shooting yet, it's tactical. Training, coordinating with other people. We can touch each other, the system also recognizes the movements we make inside, so it allows us to work as a group. Up to 5 people for now, up to 10 soon, and then against each other very soon. What's nice is that we're actually working with the weapons used in the Army, that is the Glock 17 and the HK416. It has a bit of recoil, I'm going to test it right now. Reflex shooting. Oh no, that was a friendly one. Some of them aren't armed, so you shouldn't engage. You know the Tundra, which is their top model. You know the Keiko, which is their kamikaze drone. With the new generation, there are two cameras, horizontal and vertical. Well, here's the mix of both. It's the Tunko. The Tunko, they will put it under the Tundra, and then you load the Keiko and drop them once you're at altitude. That way, instead of having kilos of payload wasted with big batteries, you drop it from very high up. You get closer to the target, and you only have the last few kilometers to cover with the FPVs. That's French, my expertise. We're coming up on a Special Forces vehicle, but it doesn't look very special. What is this?
Well, yes, actually it is a Special Forces vehicle. It's what's called the VRP, the Deep Resupply Vehicle. So it's a vehicle designed to carry fuel deep into the operational area. To be able to resupply our helicopters, what you need to know is that at the 4th RHFS, the 4th Special Forces Helicopter Regiment, an Army regiment, we arm our helicopters. We also provide support and logistics, including resupply. We developed it jointly with Scania, and the process was extremely fast. We developed an all-terrain vehicle whose performance is at least equal to the vehicles used by the commandos we support in operations. And so, you have this famous VRP. It's a tanker, right? Yes, exactly. So it's a truck with a tank, but it's not a conventional tank. It's a flexible tank, so there's no vapor, and it's much sturdier, greatly reducing explosion risk. If you drive over an IED, that's also one of the special features of the vehicle. You're in the fleet's most powerful vehicle, the Special Forces vehicle. Today, it's a real monster.
Powerful because it can carry a lot of load, or because it's fast?
Powerful because it carries a lot of load, it's extremely fast, and its traction is honestly remarkable.
And actually, the helicopter will land in a field, it will refuel, and then it will take off again.
Well, exactly, actually. On the rear part of the vehicle, the whole flatbed section is actually for refueling. So we uncover here, we unroll the refueling lines, and the helicopters land just behind. We refuel them in a few minutes, and they take off again.
Mobile service station?
That's exactly it.
How much can it carry?
Today, one vehicle carries enough fuel to give a next-generation helicopter about 2 more hours of operating time. So the idea is to have 1, or rather 2 or 3, to be able to refuel as many helicopters as possible behind them. The idea is to set up multiple vehicles and refueling lines, giving each helicopter its own refueling station.
New generation, these are Tigre helicopters?
NH90, like we saw just before, that's the new generation now, unfortunately.
Ah, the Gazelle is still nice though, but it's air transportable?
Yes, it's definitely air transportable. You can carry one in a C-132 and an A-400M, and that's it. The point of having a vehicle of this size is actually to be extremely mobile, deploy it by plane, land on a basic airstrip or rough terrain, and begin our operation with our commandos driving from there.
I'm going to talk about Scania, an industrial company that's not originally French, but the assembly is done in France. And the main advantage is that they assemble them on the same line as the civilian models. This means we could handle several dozen units per day if needed. There are thousands of spare parts worldwide, making maintenance simple and ensuring availability everywhere. Guys, do you think that's too steep, taking 45-degree slopes with your thing? Easy, easy. It didn't stall. Okay. Ah, you shook it too much. No, it's perfect. Our advantage is that the tires, they're going to inflate and deflate. As for the driving, it's a truck. Incredible.
My friends, I hope you enjoyed this video with the special effort from our favorite armed forces, and I'll see you very soon on the channel.